Imagine if 70% of kids growing up without fathers were treated like the public health crisis it actually is. Right now, 90% of incarcerated fathers have children under 18. Yet when they're released, we hand them a checklist for housing and jobs, but make fatherhood an afterthought. The statistics are staggering. Kids without fathers are 20 times more likely to end up in prison and 5 times more likely to drop out of high school. We've turned fatherhood into a footnote when it should be the foundation of every reentry program. What if bringing men all the way home meant not just giving them a place to sleep, but restoring their role as dads? Today, we're joined by Dr. Glen Warren, founder of Fathers Forever, a man who transformed his own experience as a single father of three into a mission that's changing lives across the country. With over 25 years of experience as a social worker and counselor, Dr. Warren has witnessed firsthand the devastating impact that fatherlessness has on families and communities. Since 2008, his organization has provided transitional housing for over 1,100 men while graduating hundreds through their evidence based 12-week fatherhood curriculum. His textbook, I Am a Father Forever, is now being used in over 1,500 facilities nationwide, proving that the right intervention at the right time can break generational cycles. Dr. Warren doesn't just run programs, he's pioneering a movement that recognizes fatherhood as the missing piece in criminal justice reform.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Impactors Out Loud. And today I have with me Dr. Glen Warren, and he's going to be telling us about his organization and how he's decided to formulate this mission and be the champion behind it of Fathers Forever, as you can see in the background. Dr. Warren, welcome to Impactors Out Loud.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Tracy.
No
Glad
problem.
to be here.
I am honored to have you here with us today. So, we always start off our podcast with the one true question of what is your cause tale?
Okay, well, my cause tale is I grew up in a south side of North Carolina. My father and my mother and 6 siblings. We grew up in the country, and we had a good life. Well, we was poor, but we didn't know we was poor. But my, you know, anyway, that's another whole story. But we had my father. We raised our own crops, our own livestock, all that good stuff. And then my father was always a present in my life, in my sibling's life. He was always there. He died a few years ago, but I don't remember as a kid growing up, but living in a house with was a night that my father wasn't there, except when he was out of town working. So I grew up in that atmosphere and that um, beginning to see what fatherhood was like at a very early age. And then I grew up, obviously, and when I got older, I ended up going to school. Ended up doing health and physical education was my major,
Mhm.
and I ended up being a social worker. And as a social worker, I've seen a lot of lives devastated for what the absence of fathers would do. The pain, the hurt, the anger. And I grew up didn't have that experience. But
Right.
yet, as a social worker for 20 years, I experienced that. And there was a stark difference from what I grew up in.
Mhm.
I was married for 15 years. My ex-wife and I decided to separate, divorce, but I became a single father at that time. I had 3 kids, 7, 9, and 11, and I became a single father. Um, Not knowing how to cook, because I grew up, my mama cooked for me. When I went to college, I had 3 hearts in a cot.
Mhm.
I didn't have to cook. When
Mhm.
I got married, my ex-wife was a good cook, and she was a stay-at-home mom. So I
Mhm.
didn't have to cook until that night standing in my living room. I had 3 kids at 7, 9, and 11. and it dawned on me about 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know jack about cooking, and then I had to learn how to cook. And I've had my daughter and I end up in the kitchen together, trying to learn how to cook. Trying to, the first time I did spaghetti, I did the noodles really well. I did the hamburgers really well, but I did not didn't know that you're supposed to drain the grease before you mix the,
The sauce.
together, and I didn't do that. Because I didn't do that, I poured the grease in the bowl of the noodles. It was about that much grease on top of the noodles, and my daughter at 7 years old looked at me and said, "Daddy, we can't eat that." And she probably knew more about cooking than I did. And
Uh-huh.
in doing that, I had to learn how to cook for 3 kids. And those experiences really taught me a lot about independence and the whole life of single moms, single dads. That was really, my part of my upbringing. And so after working in the field for 20 years, retired, and being a social worker and being a household with my dad, and then growing up as a social worker, I had the kind of right ingredients
Mhm.
of being a father in order to have a good father. So I decided to start Fathers Forever. All those experience working together, decided to start Fathers Forever, which is a nonprofit and working with fathers and men who are have not been a part of their child's life. And so for the last, we started this in 2008, and now we are going on 17 years of working with fathers and helping them get back in their kids' lives and doing the things they should be doing as fathers. Too many fathers, as you know, grow up. If fatherlessness was an epidemic,
Mhm.
it was a disease, it would be an epidemic, because that's how far reaching it is. That's how damaging it is. But we as a society, we haven't figured out how to way to get fathers to the table. And that's one of the things that we want to do with Fathers Forever, is to help these men to be better fathers and do the things that they should do as fathers. And that's how Fathers Forever got started. And we're going strong. We could talk about a lot of those things that we're doing, our programs that we're doing. But that's
Yeah.
kind of how I got into the field that I'm
Okay.
in now.
So you said that you were married for 15 years and then you got divorced. So I'm assuming you got custody of the kids.
Yes, that was yes. I
Okay.
end up having a mutual arrangement, mutual agreement,
Hmm.
and I kind of I didn't have to fight for it because she kind of knew my passion for my kids, and I didn't want to grow up. My kids growing up in statistics. By this time, I'm in the system. I'm working in the system, and I've
Right.
seen the devastation of kids growing up without their father, and I did
Hmm.
not want my children to be in statistics. So
Okay.
end up being um, the the uh, the sole provider of my kids.
Hmm.
Now she
Yeah.
gave child support, and she
Hmm.
was there
Okay.
every other weekend. She picked the kids up, and we co-parented. We
Hmm.
had issues like all other divorced people. We had our own issues, but
Right.
we decided that we was going to co-parent, and I became the primary the child
The
the
primary
kids were.
custodial parent.
Yes,
Right. Um, so you mentioned a couple of times, and I want to really dive into that, um, about the statistics. You didn't want your kids to be a statistic. So let's talk about some of those statistics. What are the statistics? Because you said if fatherhood was a disease, or lack of being a father or having a father in a child's life was a disease, it would be a pandemic, or at least an epidemic, right? So
right.
let's talk about that. What are the statistics and what are the implications of a child not growing up with a father in the household?
Um, Now, about 70% of kids that grow up in a household without their father end
Mhm,
up in a constitution. They end up in um, detention centers.
mhm,
About 80% of kids grow up without their father end up dropping out of high school. So those statistics, those numbers are high. There's a big difference between kids who grew up with their father and kids who grew up without their father. I had an
mhm,
opportunity to go to a lot of prisons, and when I go, I ask the youth, "How many grew up in a household without your dad?" And
mhm,
probably about 80% of the kids in that room raised their hand. I go to a college, I do the same thing, and I asked
Mhm.
about as a social worker, and I asked how many grew up in a household with your kids. About
Mhm.
80% of them raised their hand that they grew up with their children, their fathers. So you see
Mhm.
that statistic, they're going to
Mhm.
higher education,
Mhm.
whereas those who grew up without their father are now already incarcerated. So there's a
Mhm.
stark difference, and a lot of times I tell the men that you don't quite understand the devastation that you are bringing to your kids by not being present or not being there on time for them.
So, what is a key factor based on those statistics? What are the key factors that you have researched that the father brings to the table in the child's life that makes them more successful or less successful than someone who doesn't have their father in their lives?
To bring that stability,
Hmm.
they bring that oneness, that uh, uh, high self esteem, that the father is there to bring that guidance, to
Hmm.
bring that stability, to bring that strong hand that says, a lot of times when I tell our guys all the time, the best parent is both parents. Our kids
Right.
need they need the mamas, but they
Hmm.
also need the fathers to not to say the mama don't discipline kids, but
Right.
we differently, and our
Hmm.
kids need both. If fathers are not there, they don't get that side of that what they need, and they end up not doing the thing they should be doing. So the fathers again bring that stability. I tell the guys all the time, your daughter needs you to be the stronghold to protect her, as well as your son.
Hmm.
And so, without the father being there, a lot of those things go just the lacking that the child is getting, and it comes out in a lot of other ways. And behavior, it comes out with low self-esteem. It
Hmm.
comes out with a lot of anger issues, because a lot of kids that grow up without their father, as an adult, as a social worker, I now I'm talking to adults who are angry at their father for
Hmm.
not being there, and at the same time they're falling into the same pattern.
Hmm.
And I tell them, you're doing the same thing. My job is to teach you not do the same thing to your kids that your
Right.
father did to you. And it's
Right.
like the
Because
intimacy that yeah,
yeah, because hurt people, right?
exactly, exactly.
And I'm happy that you brought up the male female component in your research and your time as a social worker and running your organization. Does fatherlessness affect boys more than it does girls? And does it affect them in different ways?
It's a good question. I think it's fake boys, maybe a little more than girls, but
Hmm.
in different ways.
Okay.
For boys, you know, that stability again, a boy that guidance that they need
Hmm.
is not there on a regular basis. For little girls, it's the protection,
Hmm.
because she's going to go look for a man because she wants that information. She wants, and sometimes the little boys, the girls are not getting it from their father, and they get it from the boys, their
Hmm.
age, and
Right.
now they're coming to them, talking to them, about how pretty you are. We know what they want. They got one thing on their mind,
Right.
So she's not getting that from her father,
Hmm.
and she's always going after those little boys who telling her what she want to hear, and she end up, pregnant at an early age or being having sex at a really early age because she want the affirmation. For fathers, they're not trained to be leaders
Hmm.
because the father is not there. They're not trained to be in a household to be able to do the. We tell the guys all the time, things are caught and things are taught.
Hmm.
The things that are caught we catch being around them. When you're
Hmm.
around people, you catch their mannerism. You catch what they do. You
Hmm.
catch how they do it. And in the father's absence, that's not there because the little boy can't catch what you don't do because you're not there. And so that's the big difference I think that we have to keep doing.
Hmm.
So it affects both of them. And I don't have the statistics to say it affects boys more than girls, even though that's my personal opinion. I don't
Right.
have the statistics to back that up. But I do believe in working with little boys, I see the anger
Hmm.
more so in little girls. I see the anger in the little boys, and I see the girls, the low self esteem, because they want the affirmation that their father is not giving to them.
Okay. I have a kind of out of the box question. And just because you work in this industry, you may have some insight into my question. So, one of the things I've noticed a lot on social media, and I think that most of your demographic are African American people, Black people, correct?
Yes,
Okay. So, one of the things that I've noticed a lot on social media are Black men denouncing Black women, talking very disparagingly about Black women. And some of them have even talked about the fact that they hate their moms or Black women. So, therefore, they hate Black women and they don't want anything to do with Black women. They don't want to couple with Black women. And Black women are just persona non grata. Do you think that this has something to do with the fatherlessness? Um, I don't think it plagues our community any more than it does any other community. I think we're equal to almost every other community. We just see it more in our community because that's our proximity. So I don't
right.
buy into that the black black people have a higher percentage of fatherlessness in the household because I happen to know a lot of people from other communities that have the same issue. But based on what I said, do you think that that has anything to do with that perspective that's running rampant throughout our society right now?
I don't think so. I mean, I work with a lot of men,
Mhm.
boys, and they're left for their mom, for women. I mean, we hear the rappers calling the rocking names and doing all that stuff, but
Right.
by and large, I don't see that
Hmm.
that among that black men are very protective of women. You know,
Hmm.
their sisters, their nieces, and their mothers, especially. Now,
But
sometimes,
that's the that's where I that's what I think too, because that's the kind of interaction I have had with Black men. But the louder voices are the ones that are heard the most. So these louder voices that are all over the internet, just talking constantly, are the ones that are being heard the most, and it's making it seem like the majority of Black men don't like Black women, and they're blaming it on the fact that we're quote unquote baby mamas, meaning that you have children with no father. That's one of the real reasons I asked the question.
no, well, we disagree
Hmm.
sometimes on how our mother raised our boys.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean we like them less and we're going to dog them out. I mean, there is a disagreement on how
Right.
we raise our kids, men
Hmm.
and women. I mean,
Hmm.
sometimes the mom do baby them, and the
Hmm.
fathers, get kind of upset with that. That is real, but to
Hmm.
the point that they dog their women out, I don't buy into that because I don't. I mean, again, I work with men from all spectrum, especially African American men, and they
Hmm.
are sometimes not happy at the way the mom treat them sometimes by not
Hmm.
letting them see their child. And
Okay.
and that's what we try to put a part of our co-parenting part in our curriculum, giving
Hmm.
them some tools how to communicate with her. Cursing her out is not gonna work. It ain't
Right.
worked before, it ain't gonna work now. So you gotta come up with another perspective to do that. So,
Right.
but all of that is in my opinion, coming from anger of a
Hmm.
failed relationship that we all go through that kind of pans out sometimes. When she's mad with him, he's mad with her, and the kids get put in the middle of the fight.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily buy into black men hate women and dogging them out. I don't
Okay.
buy into that narrative.
Okay. So, Fathers Forever. Tell me about the types of programs that you guys offer to fathers to help them reconnect and, like you say, co parent effectively with their kids and to spend quality time and be a presence in their children's lives.
Yeah, we have a 12-week evidence-based curriculum
Hmm.
that we've been teaching since 2008, and we are we teach class on co-parenting, we teach class on forgiveness, we teach class on self-esteem, on gifts and talents, all of that, and anger management. A
Hmm.
lot of our guys are coming up with a lot of anger issues. We talk about abandonment because a
Hmm.
lot of times being fatherlessness brings abandonment issues,
Right.
and we talk about a lot about that. We also have our residential program. Guys are coming out of prison. We have 48 beds in Wake County where these guys live in our house for 90 days, and we do a series of services with them. We link them to other organizations, help them find jobs, help them get a place to stay at, do a lot of anger management classes again, a lot of child support. I mean, a lot of child classes with them being there with their kids, array of classes that we do. We do art classes, we do a lot of things, and they have to come to these classes as part of our program. One of the things that we've been doing here lately, one of the projects that I've been working on is it's called Bringing Him All the Way Home. Because as when guys come out of prison, we give them the checklist. You find a place to stay at, you got to do that. You got to find a job, you got to do that. You got to go to your PO officer, you got to do that. But we don't help them reconnect with their kids. We leave that up. We make fatherhood an option. We make fatherhood a footnote. It should be the foundation. It should be when you get out of prison, we're going to walk, not just give you a place to stay at, but we're going to do that, what I call the initiate intervention. We're going to offer this fatherhood thing to you when you first get out, because your kids on the other side of the gate is waiting for you. And I know, unless you know how to connect with them, a lot of times that is the thing that makes them decide to do the right thing, stop selling drugs, stop acting doing the craziness, because I got my young daughter and my young girl son out there waiting for me. And so fatherhood belongs to reentry. And that's one of the things that now we're really, really teaching them and really, really trying to get our partners to understand and to sing this song over and over and over again, that fatherhood belongs to reentry. And we have got to make that a pivotal point. And because there's hundreds and hundreds of people coming back to our society. And the thing is, Dr. Tracy, 90% of incarcerated fathers have kids under 18.
Oh,
so when you
really?
look at that, 90% of fathers incarcerated have kids under 18.
Wow.
And when you look at that, and we don't include fatherhood and they're in reentry, we are doing them a disservice. Your reentry program, and I say this boldly, your reentry program is incomplete if you don't have a fatherhood component in there.
Okay. Are most of the men receptive to reconnecting with their kids? Is it something that they want to do, or is it something that you have to cajole them into?
You have to, they want to do it, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes shame, sometimes guilt, sometimes they question whether they still want me to be there. And sometimes the mother don't make it easier because you've been away. And I understand that. Cautiously,
Right.
we understand that. And all of those things sometimes is a barrier. And it's easy just to go back to what you know, and that is, because I don't know that she want my kids to want me anymore. And so we do the engagement initiated first. We do the
That's what I
intervention
was
and say,
going to
hey,
ask you. How
this
does
is what
are
you
you
need.
right? I was going
Yes.
to ask you that. Are you initiating that first?
We are initiated. We call that the initiated intervention because
Okay.
they have got to. And we have a lot of times that men, once they get there, they like this. They don't like to be there. But by the third or fourth class, they're like this. And now they're engaging and they're
Right.
asking questions. And we have guys who break down and cry and sob, and everybody's there together because finally somebody helped them understand, that they bringing him back home includes bringing him back home to his role as a father, bringing him back home to his title as dad. And sometimes we don't do that, and that's the missing component. And we gotta pick up the pace and bring him back, bring him all the way home. And that's what our project now is working on. And we try to get our partners and everybody around to start singing this song that we have to bring him all the way home, not partly.
Okay. So one of the other questions I wanted to ask was, um, You mentioned that a lot of times the mothers, don't really want them to be involved in the child's life based on whatever happened before he went to prison. So are the moms a component of the bringing him back home? Because if they don't work well together, then it's still going to affect the child. So do you have like a component where the mothers get some type of counseling or something to really understand that this is the best thing for their child and this is how best to communicate with the father? You guys don't have to be best friends, but you have to understand how to co-parent these children, as adults.
Yeah, yeah. We have years ago we wrote a book. It's called "When Love Is Not Enough: The Breaking of a Child," and in that book we talked about mom and dad coming to table, coming together, and we do
Mhm,
some workshops with mothers as well. Our challenge with that is we don't have a way sometimes to get mothers to the table. And a lot of
mhm,
times they're not going to come on their own. Like the
mhm.
father, we have a way to get them to the table because they're
Right.
in a program. Like the
Mhm.
mom, sometimes I don't have a mechanism to get them to the table, and they're not always willing to come.
Okay.
And but that's why we wrote the book, and we distributed that book a lot, and we get done some workshops in that arena where we're trying to get mom to understand the importance of now that he's back home.
Mhm.
Stop denying him to see his child. Stop not, not denying him the rights to be there for his child. And I understand their caution. I
Mhm.
understand because he's been in and out of prison. He made
Right.
promises that he didn't fulfill. And I know
Mhm.
sometimes what she's doing is protecting the child as well.
Right.
And but we have to understand that to deny him from raising his kids is not a good thing for him or his child, and not for you either.
Right.
So you don't need to be a part of that anger and frustration.
Yeah. So, I know you have some adversities when it comes to the mom readily accepting the father back into the children's lives, but how are the children accepting the fathers back into their lives?
There's a mixed emotions.
Mhm.
Sometimes the little boys are angry. You haven't been there, you're not been around. At the same time, when people help them work through that anger, and sometimes kids just forget about your absence. You're here now.
Right.
They forget about that you was gone. You're
Yeah.
here now. And sometimes little girls they're kind of maybe more willing to forgive and step
Mhm.
into that role than sometimes little boys are because the anger stands up and they gets in the way. But I also seen kids who haven't seen their dad in years. When he
Mhm.
step into the room, they light up.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's amazing sometimes to
Mhm.
see that happen, and that's why we tell the guys, your kids are waiting on the other side of the gate. The
Mhm.
kids are waiting for you to be a part of their lives. Whether
Right.
sometimes somebody guy's not in prison, they're living their own home, and
Mhm.
they're part of our 12-week program. They're not part of our reentry program, but those as well. That your kid needs you, and you have to be there for them.
Mhm. So, you as a social worker, you're trained to deal with this population and deal with the issues of fatherlessness and helping fathers to reconnect with their kids. But based on the amount of different services that you told me about, are you guys doing all of this in house or have you created partnerships within the community to help holistically serve the fathers who are re-entering into the population from prison and who just came to you guys? They're not in
Right.
prison, but they still need the
Right.
counseling necessary to connect with their kids.
Right. Good question. We have a combination of both.
Mhm.
We do a lot of stuff in the house, but we also contract out. Our mental health providers, we got a mental health agency that we
Okay.
partner with. They come in, they provide a counseling, they will also have a substance abuse person who comes in 2 or 3 times a week and talk to our guys. A
Mhm.
lot of our guys are suffering with actually duly diagnosed. They got mental illness as
Mhm.
well as substance abuse. And as a
Okay.
social worker, most of the clients that I work with they were duly diagnosed. They had mental illness and they
Mhm.
had substance. And a lot of times, the substance abuse was there to match the mental illness, and we had
Mhm.
to deal with both. So we have a lot of partners that we work with. As far as job wise, we have a
Mhm,
place called NC Works where we
mhm,
send our fathers to them.
mhm.
They get trained. They get trained in the CDL license, flagging. They can get certification, and so
Oh, that's great.
we work good with what we call our local reentry
Mhm,
program, where they
mhm.
help guys come back to employment and occupations and those things. So we couldn't do all this work ourselves. So we do contact
Mhm.
a lot of it without we work out in the community working with the social workers with the reentry as well as anger management, all those things that we do. So to answer
Awesome.
your question, absolutely, we have a lot of partners in the community that we work with.
Are you only able currently to work with fathers in the North Carolina area, or have you started to expand outwards to other states or maybe even other counties as well?
Yes, we have because of COVID, it's a bad thing, but it
Right.
also, we doing Zoom now, so we do a lot of Zoom classes. So the
Uh-huh.
bad stuff that it created some good stuff. So
Mhm,
we doing some Zoom classes now. Quick story. With our Dads at a Distance program, with our textbook, we have an organization, a friend, one of our partners, distribute our books throughout the United States, over 1,500 facilities.
Do you have the
Uh,
book?
Yes, I have the book. It's called "I Am a Father Forever." This is our
Okay.
textbook as well. Yeah, it's a 12-week textbook. It's got 12 classes, 12 homework assignments. When the guys come to class, they bring this book. They have to read the chapter, do the homework assignments, and so one of our partners, they distributed books all over the world, well, especially
Mhm,
in North Carolina, and the
mhm,
1,500 facilities. A box of books went to a facility in Texas, and
mhm,
one of our books was in that box.
mhm,
Immediately, they called me and
mhm,
asked us for copies of this book. Some of our partners, some of our partners pay for this book, and we shipped it to them. And every 2 or 3 months, we get letters from this prison in Texas of
mhm.
fathers who went through our program, and they write letters thanking us about what this book had done for them.
Awesome.
And so we are doing this on a regular basis now to get this book into the hands of and we getting pastors and organizations and businesses are
Mhm,
donating this book to us, and we giving it to them. And so to answer your question, and we want to do a lot more than that. And
mhm.
our goal is to do a lot more Zoom classes as well, that more people find out about us.
So, if someone is watching this podcast when it airs, can they find that book somewhere to buy?
They can go to Amazon.
Mhm,
It's there. They can go to our website. It's
mhm,
there.
mm,
For www.afatherforever.com. That's our
mhm.
email, our website rather. They can go there. They can go again, either Amazon or our website, and they can get the book.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Because I'm sure there's some people who probably don't live in the North Carolina area who could definitely utilize the program for
Yes,
themselves, or probably hit you up to do a program virtually for their men's group.
absolutely.
Because
We
there's
would
tons
love
of
to.
yeah.
Again, the miracles of Zoom. We would love to be able to. We have Saturday morning classes,
Mhm.
um, Zoom, and people from all over the place, time in, and we do just like we're doing now. We do
Right.
classes, we have conversation.
Mhm,
Zoom is I love in person classes, but I'm from
mhm,
the old school. But Zoom work well too. And
mhm,
so if you out there and you want to call us and contact us and say, hey, we want to do a Zoom class, we want to hook up with you, we'll absolutely sit down and make that happen because right now we have the capability of doing it, and we can send them the textbook and they can do what we need to do to make this happen. And we've had graduations, we've had
mhm.
Zoom classes and graduations of
Okay.
yeah. So we've done it already.
Okay. All right. So we're coming to the end. So I'm going to ask you three questions and to wrap this up. The first one is, what makes you an impactor?
Because we are touching a a place in our society where it's overlooked, and that's fatherlessness. It is one of the things that impact so many people, but we put very, very little effort into fixing that.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure that people understand the importance of fatherhood and the devastation of the absence of fatherhood.
Awesome. And um, if you had to leave the audience with three impactor tips or strategies that they can go forward and implement as effectively as possible, what would those three tips or strategies be?
The number one, get involved in your community. If you're a father, if you're a man, do some mentoring
Hmm.
to help little boys and little girls. Support your local fatherhood programs if you're there, and just be a present. Just use your gifts and talent to bring people together and help people understand the importance of fathers and the benefit of the kids. And just if you really want to do your own nonprofit, just dare to believe, dare to dream, step out on your passion, step out on your vision, get some counseling, get some coaching, and just be diligent to whatever you want to do. Just be diligent. We started out with Father Forever started out on a napkin
Hmm.
14 years ago,
Hmm.
and now look what we are. We got 22 staff, but it started out in a napkin. The other thing is, don't be impatient.
Hmm.
Let it. Don't look for overnight success.
Right.
Don't look for overnight. This quick fix. There's no quick fix.
Hmm.
Just put the time in and be diligent and be consistent, and you'll reap the benefits.
Awesome. So you told us where to find the book and how to find you, but tell us one last time, where can people find you on your website, email, social media, and where can they buy that precious book that so many men need?
We have a YouTube page. You go to our YouTube page. We can also go to Fathers Forever website, www.afatherforever.com. To go to book, you can go to Amazon and find it, or you can go to our website as well.
Okay,
And
show
the
us the
book
book
is
one more time, please.
www.
No, show us the book.
Oh, the choice book. Here you go.
Hmm.
Here's the book. I am a father forever. 12-week curriculum, homework assignments in it, and we can ship that book to you if you want. If you got students, we can ship that book to you as well, and we will can do a lot of things with this book. We have so many calls for this book, and we have a lot of partners who purchase this book, and we send it to them. So
Okay. All right, Dr. Warren, thank you so
thank you
much
so
for
much
being
for the
my guest
information.
here on Impactors Out Loud. I really appreciated you coming and I appreciated the conversation. I learned a lot, and I'm sure the audience will learn a lot as well. And again, if you are a male group out there, there are a lot of men's group in churches, other nonprofits, and you're looking for some type of program to help men connect with their children better or just heal from themselves not having a father, please reach out to Dr. Warren and try to create some type of collaboration where he can help you to serve your population. All right, until next time, bye everyone, and thank you for joining me on Impactors Out Loud.